Hi, and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Dr. Corine. I am Dr. Corine T. Ferebee. I am a pharmacist, an entrepreneur, a mother, and a wife. And most of all, I am a lupus survivor. I am the CEO and founder of Trinity Wellness RX Consulting, where we help women to improve their health and make themselves a priority. We do this with medication therapy management, nutrition recommendation, and exercise programming. I am super excited today because we have Miss Chrissy Mack with us today. She is an entrepreneur. She is in real estate. She's a mother. She's a wife. And most of all, she is a lupus warrior. And she is going to share her story today. So sit back, get comfortable, because this is going to be an awesome journey. And I just cannot wait for her to share her story and basically just encourage and inspire us all. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Miss Chrissy Mack. And if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, I am Chrissy Mack. Like you said, I am an entrepreneur. I have always been an entrepreneur. I am a mother of two amazing boys. Yes, I have lupus, and I also recently just had a kidney transplant. So when I say my life has been hectic and crazy, I literally mean it's been hectic and crazy, but I'm surviving.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. So tell us, let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
So how did we come to be diagnosed with lupus, and what did that look like?
Okay, so about maybe 5 or 6 years ago, roughly, I woke up one morning and literally could not walk. I got out of bed and I fell. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on? So I said, I need to get to the doctor. First, I was like, maybe I'll go to emergency room. I'm like, no, I'm gonna go to the doctor. So the doctor ran some tests and he's like, Chrissy, we think you might have leukemia. Leukemia. Now, cancer does run in my family, strong on my mom's side.
Okay.
And so I'm like, oh my God, I have leukemia. He's like, no, don't worry. We're going to send you to another specialist. We're going to check it out. Well, they sent me to a rheumatologist. He's like, no, you don't have leukemia. You have lupus. Well, what's lupus? Nobody's heard of lupus. Not familiar. I was so in denial. I did not believe him. He told me, Chrissy, you have lupus? Nope. I went to another doctor. I went to the Mayo Clinic. He said, honey, you have lupus. Nope, I don't believe you either. So I went to another doctor. So finally, I landed at the University of South Florida, and the doctor was like, how many doctors are you going to see until you realize that you have lupus?
Wow.
I said, I just couldn't believe it. I'm young. I just started life, finished college. I just built my first home, and, everything was going for me. And he said, honey, you got lupus. I said, okay, so I'm going to stick with you. Let's figure this out. He said, okay, my numbers, before real estate investing, I was in car sales for many years. And he said, honey, your job is killing you. And my job is killing you. He said, can you sell cars at night? Come on, of course I can't. He said, well, you're going to have to leave that job because the sun, and we all know if you're battling lupus, the sun is not our friend.
I didn't even think about that.
Yes. And so I was hitting that pavement all day, every day, and I was in so much pain. He said, your numbers are out of this world. You are going to kill yourself if you don't stop. So my husband and I looked at each other and said, what are we going to do? We prayed about it. We got up off that floor and we said, we're selling the house. We're selling everything, and we're going to live our best life.
Yeah.
I said, okay. So we moved to Atlanta.
Oh, so you were in Florida before?
Yes. When I first got diagnosed, I was in Florida. I was living in Florida.
Wow.
And life was great. I had no complaints. Everything was going on the up and up. And then we said, you know what? My family couldn't understand. I come from a very close-knit family. No one could understand what I was going through. And they definitely didn't want to hear that I was selling my home and I was moving to a different state.
Right.
And at that time, I only had one child. I only had one child. And we said that at that time, we were never having any more kids because it's not safe. We're not having any more. We're just going to live our best with the one.
Yeah.
So we moved to Atlanta. We started going way further into our, investments and doing real estate full time at that time. And everything was lovey-dovey. And we had another baby. Oh, Well, with that baby, it took 8 doctors just to get me through that pregnancy. When I tell you I had every doctor in the book, and they tried to throw medicine at me because before I was doing it naturally. And they were trying to throw all these medicines. They're like, you have lupus? No, you got to take this. You got to try this. I'm like, listen, stop. Y'all do not know my God. I will be okay. Yeah. I'm bringing in this child safe and healthy. I'm not taking none of your medications. I'm not doing any of that. I'm going to make it, I'm going to try, I'm going to die trying. That's how I was.
Right.
And my faith was so strong. And so my doctor's like, honey, you're not going to make it all the way. I said, I'm going to make it. And I made it. And my son is healthy and I'm strong. But during that pregnancy, they noticed that my kidney numbers were, starting to drop. Everything was looking, crazy. So I saw a nephrologist and she said, you're gonna need to get on the medications. I'm like, well, I'm having a baby, so that's not an option. She's like, okay, well, after. Well, I wanted to breastfeed and I wanted to do so much. And so by the time I got so sick one day, I couldn't breastfeed no more. By that time, my kidneys were gone. And I was in the hospital for 14 days. I said, okay.
So prior to you getting pregnant, were you on medication and then you stopped it? You wasn't taking anything?
No, I wasn't. I said, because I wasn't believing it at the time, and they tried to put me on Paquinel one time. I couldn't even walk to go to the bathroom on those pills. My life was completely shot. I couldn't get up to go to work. I couldn't do anything on Paquinel. And I don't know if it was just my body, because I've heard some positive things from that, but I couldn't handle it. So I said, I'm not doing this. I'm just going to stick to my natural remedies, and that's it. And I held it down for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then the pregnancy is what took everything out of control. So after that pregnancy, the kidneys were shot. I had to do an emergency dialysis. They put the port in right away, did dialysis. I was in the hospital for another 14 days. And I was on dialysis until my brother was so kind enough to give me his kidney. So I could live. Because at the time, he didn't have children. He didn't have, he didn't have anybody. So he said, you have to be here. You have to live for your boys. So he gave me his kidney. I'm here today.
Is it just you and him?
Well, biologically, it's just us. But my mom adopted other children. My parents aren't together. They're separated. So my dad has another son. But we have a big blended family.
Yes.
But biologically, it's just us.
That's a blessing.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
So what were you feeling like? Young mother, new baby. And now I have kidney disease.
I was overwhelmed. I think it got to me. I have a great support team. My husband is an amazing man, hands down. I couldn't do this without him. I had my mother, I had my mother-in-law, I had my dad, I had everybody, but they did not really get it. Because they're not going through it. If you're not personally going through it, it's hard. You can give your sympathy, say, hey, I'm here for you, anything you need, but you don't truly understand. And mentally, I was destroyed because not only did I have a baby, I had to try to take care of that I couldn't take care of physically. And I was going through kidney disease. So there was a time where I was like, man, if I didn't get pregnant, maybe I wouldn't be here. But I can't think like that because my son is a blessing. Yeah. And I'm so happy when I look at him now. I'm like, why was I thinking like that? Yeah. The devil was busy, and I went through it. I definitely went through it. I went through the works, but I'm okay mentally now.
Yeah, I resonate with everything you saying, because even though when I was diagnosed, I had been having symptoms. So I was having the joint pain and the swelling and the hair shedding like crazy, and even the butterfly rash, I had all of that. I was super exhausted. I was working as a pharmacist full time. So I was on my feet for 13 hours a day. Right. And so I would go back and forth to the doctor, but they would say, hey, you work 13 hours a day. Like, that's why you're tired. That's why your joints hurt. So as the experts, I'm like, okay, well, maybe they have a point, so maybe I need to work less. But, eventually I kept putting it to the side, and I was just saying, okay, well, maybe they're right. Maybe I just need to put my big girl panties on and suck it up, So that's what I did. And then just like you, one day I went to get out the bed and literally just fell to the ground because my body just couldn't take it anymore. It had
I
given
thought it was arthritis.
didn't know what it was. I just knew like this was not right. I was too young for this, you know. I was trying to live my best life too,
Yes.
not be somewhere laid up in a bed sick. So when I did go to the doctor, I went in to see the rheumatologist. Again, they're still saying, maybe, you're just working too much, you're exhausted. And that's one of the reasons I titled this what I titled this, but you don't look sick, because everyone's looking at you and they're saying, well, you look fine, and it's because as women, I think we still feel like we have to get up and move forward. You know what I'm saying? We still have to get up and get it done. And that's what I was doing. And so they diagnosed me with the lupus, and then they did all these tests, and then it was like, oh, by the way, your kidneys are failing as well. So you're in stage 4 kidney failure. And I'm looking at them like, no, this has to be a dream. This cannot be happening, And of course, they wanted to put me on dialysis. And I'm like, look, I have 2 small kids at home, still in this mindset of I have to do. So I'm like, I still have to go to work. I have to do all these things. And I literally remember going to work all week. A Friday, I went and had a kidney biopsy.
Yeah.
Turned around and went right back to work Monday.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy. When I think back, I'm like, what were you thinking? You know what I'm saying? But, that's, again, is about us sometimes not prioritizing ourselves.
Yeah. But we have children. And when you have children, you will go above and beyond because you have children to provide for.
Yeah. And that's how I felt. Like, I brought these kids into the world. I have to do whatever I have to do to take care of them. So, I got my diagnosis, and of course, like I said, they wanted to put me on dialysis, and I was like, no, that's not where I'm at right now. So we got to look at some other options. And we did, but they ended up putting me on a medication called mycophenolate or Cellcept.
I'm on that.
Yeah, so they usually give it to people with kidney transplants, and it was awful. Like, it just tore my body apart. Like, I just felt like was in somebody else's body. Like, who does this body belong to? Gained 30 pounds. I didn't look like myself. I didn't feel like myself. It was just absolutely crazy, but thank goodness, I haven't gotten to the point where I needed a transplant. Because I can't even imagine what that would feel like.
Yeah, and I'm so happy in what you're preaching, because you have to take care of your health. And I wish I was a little bit better in working out and doing certain things. I come from a fitness family, and I'm the only one that did not work out. The only one that hated working out. And I regret that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
that's really what changed. That's what changed the dynamics for me, because when they put me on all of that medication, number one, I'm a pharmacist that does not swallow pills. So I would sit there and I would look at the pills every day and like, oh my goodness, how am I going to get these down? But I knew it was like life and death, mentally. That's what I was telling myself. And so I would eventually get them down, and some of them would come right back up, and it was really hard. But I was like, I can't sustain this, so I have to do something different. And for me, I changed how I ate. I started exercising consistently. With the food, I had to look at like what is causing all the inflammation, so I took meat off the table.
I did that for a year. I went vegan for a year. My biggest but then I got sick. And when I got sick, they're like, no, you need more protein. You need to eat. And I was really sick at that time. And my husband was like, please just eat it again. And it took time, and I went back to my bad ways. But the biggest culprit for me was dairy. So if you have lupus, you have to take that out, because that inflammation is no joke. If you take out the cheese and the milks, and it makes a difference, just a little change.
Luckily, I've always been lactose intolerant. So I was never a big dairy person. So luckily, I was able to like push that to the side easily. But you're right. Dairy will take you down. Dairy, sugar.
Yes.
You know, people don't think about that, but you have to drastically reduce the amount of sugar that you're on.
Yes.
So you're in the hospital. You're about to have this kidney transplant. What is going through your head?
So much emotions, honestly. Even like the day before the surgery, my brother, you could tell he was getting nervous.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, I don't know. Like he was starting, I'm getting nervous because I'm like, is he gonna change his mind last minute? You know, so he talked to my son and he's like, no, I'm gonna do it. I said, okay, he's gonna do it. Let's just go. So we get to the hospital and I'm in panic mode. My heart is beating fast. You know, I'm praying, I have faith, but I'm more scared for my brother than I was for myself. Because I'm like, what if something happens to my brother? Is my family gonna be able to forgive me?
Yeah.
Because my mom and my dad were both here. Even though they're not together, they were both here. And I'm like, what if I take away their son? Like, can they forgive me? Because he was trying to save my life. That's some heavy burden.
Yes.
I'm telling you. And so, you know, my brother is a big believer in God. And he was like, don't even worry. We're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. He's like, I prayed about it. God gave me the answer. So I'm just following the steps. We're going to be okay. We're going to make it. And he had a lot going on in his life too, because, you know, he is a tuner. So he deals with race cars. And so he's like, listen, I'm putting everything on hold for you. And on top of that, he has to recover. We both have to recover. Right. So we had to recover together. And it was just a lot of emotions, but we made it. He actually bounced back faster than I did.
Really?
He did. I mean, like this, probably the next day, he was already coming to my room. I'm like, how are you walking? It took me a little bit, but they forced me. You have to walk. They didn't care if I had to crawl out that bed. They were not leaving me in that bed. You will walk. So I started slowly. My mom walked me around the room, and then I started getting to the halls until I was able to make it to the transplant bell so I can ring the bell that I made it.
Wow. Wow. What did that feel like?
It was amazing. It was amazing. I'm like, man, look at God, because I'm able to get out of bed, walk to this bell and shake it, and just to say I made it. Because there was days where I felt like I was not going to make it. I already wrote out my will. I already told my husband what I needed him to do. I said my goodbyes. I even made a video the night before saying goodbye to everybody. Oh, that's how serious I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
You could have faith, but you're still not too sure.
Right. Right. I get it.
I wanted to be prepared. I didn't want them to have any surprises. Here's everything. These are all the numbers. This is the life insurance number. This is everything that you need.
Yeah.
And just make sure y'all take care of my babies and
That's
tell
right.
them that I love them.
So how long were you in the hospital?
Honestly, I did pretty good. I think I was in the hospital 3 days, maybe 4 days max.
Wow.
I did pretty good. And the doctor said, I think you could go home. You have a great support team. You'll be okay. And because, you know, you don't want to stay in the hospital. First of all, the hospitals aren't the cleanest. Secondly, mentally, they want you to just get back into life.
Yeah.
You know, and so he was nice. He let me and my brother go at the same time.
Aww.
We went home together one time. So I made a video on that on my YouTube, you know, a kidney vlog. I think it's about 30 minutes, the whole process.
Oh, so, that is awesome.
It can help somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So what is your advice to other lupus warriors that, especially that have kidney failure?
Listen to the doctors. I mean, I understand that they are not 100% all the time, but listen to them. And the biggest thing for me that helped is joining support groups for that, because there's no better testimony than somebody that has already been there. The doctors are going by textbooks. You don't truly know how I feel. You're just going by what the book tells you. But the next person, like me, I can talk to you because you understand what I went through. You can explain things to me and just have hope. So a lot of times I used to journal, and I journal because I wanted to remember things, but I also wanted to see how far I have come. Yeah. And it's just therapeutic for me to kind of write down and express how I feel. And even if you don't want to write, you can make vlogs. You can, you know, verbally tell people over the camera, but just just be the light in dark times for others, because sometimes God is using you. I felt like he used me because I was strong enough to deal with it.
Yeah,
And he used
absolutely.
me to be this testimony to the world and let
Yeah.
people know it's okay. You're going to make it. Just have faith.
Yeah. I first ran across you on YouTube and I was just immediately drawn to you. You know, number one, to be able to tell your story, because when I was first diagnosed with lupus, I probably went like a year before I just started talking about it and telling people what was going on. In the midst of that year, I had gained weight, and I mean, I was just like really like sad and kind of depressed and, you know, just wasn't myself, but I couldn't like verbalize what was really going on
It's
with me.
hard. It's
It
so
is.
hard. So if you guys look back at my first video on YouTube, I think I said, what does sick look like?
Mm,
Because everybody was coming to me and saying, well, you don't look sick. Okay, so I put on my hair, I put on makeup, but that doesn't mean that I'm not dealing with something. And I'm dealing with something that you have no idea. Just
right.
because I don't look sick doesn't mean that I'm not sick. And I think I was so angry about that comment. I hate when people say that.
Yes.
Well, you don't look sick. So what does that mean? I don't get a break? I can't feel like I just want to sit down and relax because I don't look sick?
Yeah.
And I think that is where that journey. So I've been on and off, but I've been consistent since the transplant. But I wrote that because I did that video because I know there are other people out there that are dealing with the same thing that I'm dealing with. And it's so, I guess, inconsiderate of people to say, well, you don't look sick, so get to work. You
I
know what I
agree.
mean? Like,
I agree. I hate that. Like that just gets up under my skin. Like, what do you want me to look like? What should I look like?
a
You
rag
know?
doll. I think.
Right. You want me to just look all beat down and that's just crazy. So you mentioned support groups. Tell me your experience with support groups. Are there any particular support groups that you would recommend that you go to?
Well, there are tons. First of all, we live in a day and age where technology is accessible to everybody at this point. And so honestly, you could just go on Facebook and type in the type of support group. So I'm in a lot of lupus support groups. I try to be the light for them, but I'm also in a lot of kidney failure groups. And I push out 2 videos a week for them. And it's so nice because everybody in these groups can understand what I'm feeling. So when I post a video on my actual Facebook page, it may not get as much love because they don't understand.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? It's like, okay, this girl's talking about kidneys and lupus. Well, we don't get that. Cool.
Yeah.
But the people in the group are like, oh my God, this video was amazing. I'm going through this right now. It resonates. Because what I do is not for everybody. It's only for a certain amount of people. And I had to realize that, like, I'm not making videos for you. You're healthy. You're fine. But if I'm going to make a video once in a while just telling you these are the signs that you need to look out for, because a lot of people don't tell you. Ibuprofen is not our friend.
Not at all.
If I wish I would have known that, because that is something that I used to take a lot of when I was in pain.
Me too.
If you want to take something, try some Tylenol, but stay away from ibuprofen. It will take you down in a quickness. Yeah. Like, I'm a big advocate about that right now because I have family members, oh, I don't feel good, I got a pain, let me take ibuprofen. I hear that, I'm ready to like slap the bottle out of your hand. You know?
Exactly. I used to take ibuprofen 800 like it was candy.
Yes.
I kept it on me at all times. Yes.
But you know, there's so many support groups. Google it. When I used to be at dialysis, we had support groups. I didn't know about that until I actually spoke to my social worker, because when you go on dialysis, they actually assign a social worker to you for any of your needs. It's not till someone told me about that. There's a group, they meet once a month. You can get a, you know, just to kind of ask other people questions and, you know, relate. So when people say I'm alone, I don't believe that anymore, because I used to be like that. I used to say, man, I'm alone in this. Well, mentally, yes, in my family, but if I go on Google, if I go on Facebook, if I go on Instagram, I can pound hashtag kidney transplant and I'll see a whole lot of people. And if I have a question, I type that question in and I'll get hundreds and hundreds of comments. You know, so don't say that you don't have support. You don't have support because you're not willing to go out and look for support.
Right. So you have to be intentional.
You have to be. You have to be.
And I think that takes a moment as well.
It does.
I feel like when I was first diagnosed, like I was just in my bubble, you know, It was just like, okay, I don't really know what's going on. I don't really understand this. And then for me, no one else in my family had lupus, so they're like, what is that? And then like you say, you get up and you put your hair on and you put your makeup on and they just assume that you're fine.
Yeah.
It's like, stop complaining, like you look fine, but
They don't get it.
They don't get it. So
and we have to understand that.
Yeah, and you do, but I do think it's really important that people reach out and, find support groups that they feel
The thing is,
in.
when we first got diagnosed, everybody goes through that because I went through that too. I was in a bubble. I didn't really want to say anything. I didn't know how people would react. Mm-hmm. But when you become around, when you listen to shows like this and we let you know it's okay to speak your story, it's okay to ask for help, then you feel a little bit more comfortable. Because when I was first diagnosed, I didn't really have a lot of people coming on doing, first of all, Facebook Lives wasn't around.
Right.
A lot of these support groups weren't around, but now we really have the support that we need. You just have to, like I said, look for it. But when you're first going through it, you're entitled to feel that way.
I agree.
This is new for you. You're entitled. Take your time, sis. But after a while, you gotta, you can't sit there and soak forever.
Right. And that's in those groups you learn so much, because like you say, you learn about the medications, you learn about, what you will experience, even if you're not experiencing now, what the possibilities, what lupus could look like down the line. You learn about nutrition, you learn about exercise, so you just learn so much. I think it's so important that you're always connected to other women or other lupus survivors and warriors.
Correct, because our stories are, even though we're the same, but it's so different. Yeah. And there's so many people that say, hey, I deal with this. Well, I personally don't deal with the butterfly rashes. Out of all the symptoms, that's one that I don't get. And so I could never really understand what they feel like when it comes to certain things, because I'm like, well, I've never dealt with that.
Yeah.
But I've had a kidney transplant, and some people who have lupus have not experienced that.
Yeah.
So even though we all have the same story, we're different.
Yeah. So I think that's the great part of our story, is that it's so much the same, but yet it's so different. So I think that's why I enjoy talking to people, other people that have lupus, because it's like, what? I experienced that too, but then it's like, oh my goodness, I can't, and then in moments I'm just shocked, like, oh my gosh, and then just to hear your story and hear that could have been me, easily,
I'm so happy that didn't happen to you.
It's a blessing.
Because it changes your whole life. I mean, you can be on the go, and then now you're stuck to a chair 3 days a week for 4 hours at a time, sometimes even longer. And dialysis is very painful. It's very painful. I'm not going to sugarcoat that for nobody. Like, there was days when I used to bawl, cry. The old people come to me, because there's a lot of older people. They'd be like, honey, don't worry. It's going to get better. I promise you. I'm like, I need help now.
And that's the things that nobody tells you, So somebody has to tell you that, because I've never heard anybody say that. But now that I think about it, I'm like, yeah, it probably does hurt.
There's two phases. So you have where they put the port in your chest, which is dangerous, but they do it in the beginning. That you don't feel. That's not too bad. You can still do. But once you let me show you. I got battle wounds. Once you have a fistula.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, see? So I had that put in. And so when I get to dialysis, I have to put my hand straight out. They'll put needles in. And the needles get a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger, and a little bit bigger. Well, the little one already had me crying. So I said, I can't do this. And they weren't putting anything on it at the time. I said, I need something. And I saw a lady, she's like, I got numbing cream. You want to try it? So I put the numbing cream on, and I made sure my doctor gave me a prescription for the strongest medication you could find, just to get me through those times.
Wow.
Sometimes it's not pretty. It's not. So do whatever you have to do to keep your health right, because you do not want to have to do that 3 times a week. And for some people who are doing PD, they doing it in their stomach every night. I can't imagine.
I can't. That's crazy.
It is.
Crazy. So what does life look like now? Now that you have a kidney transplant, because that was what, 4 months ago?
Yep, I got it done on January 9th. of this year. I waited for 2020. I said, you know what? I'm going to do it in 2020. So I'll lay that foundation, right?
And I'm so glad that you got out of that hospital before COVID-19, right?
Listen, okay, I'm so happy because they stopped all transplants. There was so many people that were on getting ready and they had to cut all of that out. Even now, I can't even go to the hospital to see my doctor. Everything is telemedicine. So I'm so happy. The timing was just right. I mean, literally just right. So it was a blessing that I got it done early.
Wow. So what does life look like now?
So life looks like now, obviously I'm healthy, I'm strong, I'm walking more, I'm exercising again. My doctor didn't want me to jump right back in it. I'm not like lifting, but I'm doing a lot of walking. Because, you know, here in Georgia, there's lots of hills, lots of stuff going on. So I'm doing a lot of walking. I am back to being a workaholic. I'm sorry, it's just in my DNA. I cannot help it. So, you know, with our course that we came out with and everything going on, it's just been a lot. So, but I do take time to rest now. And so the days where I'm not videoing or I'm not doing anything on camera, I'm being myself. I'm in my sweats because we are all quarantined. I'm still quarantined, even though the public is going back. But, you know, I'm spending more family time. So even though that this is a downtime for us as a whole in the economy, I'm spending more time with my family. Breakfast every morning, dinners at the table together. The kids are enjoying it. Now school is out. School just finished today, I guess. And so I'm just going to find some activities for us to do. But I'm living life on my terms.
Yes, I love that.
I'm doing it my way. So that's why I'm so focused on the real estate, because I don't want to go work a 9 to 5. I don't want to deal with that. I want to spend my rest of my days with my family. Doing the things that make me happy.
Yes.
You know?
So what does self-care look like for you?
Don't bother mommy.
Yes.
Mommy, enjoy her day. You know, I have my little, I don't drink alcohol or anything like that, but, you know, I'll make a little drink and I'll watch some TV. I am huge into podcasts and I'm a big YouTube fan. So I will watch all of my stuff there. But I just kind of want to just relax in my bed. I go for a walk with my little headset on and just become one with myself and just focus on me. I cannot be there for everybody. And so this year I have learned to say no.
Ooh, that's so important.
Listen, no, Crystal, can you do? No. And I'm enjoying it. Well, nope, don't have time for that. If it's not at the top of my list, I am not doing it. I am not giving everybody access to me anymore.
I love that.
I'm sorry. When you go through something so traumatic, like what I've been through, you learn to adjust your life. If I don't want to be friends with you no more, I'm not being friends with you on Facebook or whatever it is. Like, I don't want people that's going to drain me. We have a lot of that. This is 2020. We need to stop.
They will do that. You know,
people take advantage. They just, you know, want to just drain you, get all the information from you. And I'm tired. I'm tired.
Good for you. That's right. Be in control of Chrissy, okay?
You have to. And but it's something that was developed. It just didn't happen overnight. It was developed. I had to say no to one person and then that felt good. And I say no to everybody. If I feel like doing it, I'll do it.
And that's something that we all could learn, you know, because that stress, it kills, you know, and definitely someone with lupus, you know, or kidney disease.
That's another big thing. As a lupus warrior, I have learned that stress makes things way worse. So you need to learn to de-stress, because with me, I know when I start getting stressed because I start feeling pains in my fingertips and in my toes. So that's just a sign like, okay, so you need to fall back, you need to relax, because things are starting to elevate. Because even with me, I just had the kidney transplant, but I thought a lot of my lupus symptoms were coming back because a lot of the feelings that I was feeling before. So I started getting paranoid. My doctor said, well, we need to get you. I said, listen, I don't have time to go see a rheumatologist. Give me my script. I am a lupus warrior. I already know how to read this. Give me my script and let me figure out what's going on. Thank God, when we pulled the report, it still showed lupus, but nothing was active. Like there was no inflammation. There was none of that going on. So I just need better sleep.
Yeah. Get some rest. That's why I tell people we forget to rest sometimes, you know.
Because we don't put ourselves first. We put everybody else first.
Exactly. Right back to that prioritizing yourself. So, and it's hard. It's hard when you have people depending on you, you know, and then if you just have that type of personality anyway, where you just get things done, sometimes you don't want to wait on everybody else. You just want to get it done.
That's me. That is me. I am a Libra that waits for no one. I get things done. I have no time for that.
Yep. So, but I really appreciated you like coming and sharing your story. So if you could give one last bit of advice to our lupus warriors out there, what would that be?
Live life on your own terms. Work out, even if it's walking. Put your shoes on, put your headphones on, and just become more active. I can't preach that enough because that can save your life. Because you could develop other things like, you know, high blood pressure. Anything else can happen, but take care of yourself. You know, just take care of yourself and do what you want to do and learn to de-stress your life, because we only have one life to live, and we need to do it the best that we can. And never give up. That's it. Never give up. Keep pushing. Just keep pushing.
I love that. And, you know, I think it's so important that you keep saying, you know, make sure that you're getting activity, that you're exercising, that you're working out, because that plays a role on so many levels. Like you say, it helps reduce the risk of chronic disease, you know, but then it's also a distressor. When you put your earphones on and you go for a walk, you're going to de-stress.
Oh, yes.
You know,
and you feel better, and you'll be able to handle all the stress of life.
Yeah, because stress of life is going to happen.
Oh,
it's how you choose to deal with it.
Yep.
So if people want to get in touch with you, get connected to you, how do they do that?
Well, on Facebook and Instagram, it's Chrissy Mack, and it's CRISSYMAC. But if you want to find me on YouTube, you also will find me at youtube.com/Chrissy Mack. But if you're searching in YouTube, you have to put Chrissy Mack together, because if you separate it, it's going to be a whole different person that comes up.
That's good to know.
But yes. And for our real estate endeavors, everything is at georgesmovement.com.
George's Movement?
Yep, georgesmovement.com.
Okay, awesome. Well, I look forward to staying connected with you. We'll be talking.
Oh, definitely.
Yes. And if there's anything I can do to support you, definitely let me know.
Yes, I definitely will. And everybody else on here, I'm an open book. I'm very transparent. She'll let you know. So if you want to just add me as a friend, sure, why not? More the merrier.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. If you have any questions, definitely leave them in the comments. Chrissy, I'm going to have you put your information in the comments as well, so people can connect with you. And I look forward to doing this again in the future. Yes. You guys have an amazing day.
All right. Bye.